All right, we are on to the second to last one. Oh boy, so here we go. Let's take a look at this one. All right, so given that E is the midpoint of AC, DE equals EC, so that we're given those two things, we gotta prove that DE is congruent to AE. So first, let's just label some things that we might be able to use. If E is the midpoint, let me make sure I'm recording this thing real quick. Yes, I am. If E is the midpoint of AC, that means that AE is congruent to EC. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw that. Then they say that DE is congruent to EC. So in addition to that, we're also gonna make this. So all three of those are congruent. Okay. All right. So that's just what we that's what we know, but we're gonna have to prove all this stuff. So let's start with step one. E is the midpoint of AC. How do we know that? That is because that is given. Now, definition of midpoint, that's exactly what I always... Why do they tell you something's the midpoint? Because they want you to know. They want you to know that one half is congruent to the other half. So that's why I labeled it so it's very clear. AE is congruent to EC. That's the definition of midpoint. Next, it's another given. What's the other given? That's DE equals EC. So DE equals EC. And then next they say that AE equals DE. AE equals DE. Well, they're kind of skipping out a little bit right here, but because AE is congruent to EC, that when we're seeing step 2, AE is congruent to EC, though they're kind of skipping, but anyways, AE is congruent to EC, right? That's the definition of midpoint. Well, technically we know that from the definition of congruence, AE equals EC. So then instead of writing DE equals EC, they replaced the EC with an AE, because in our given, right, we have DE equals EC right here. And instead of writing the EC, they replaced it because AE equals EC. So once again, they're kind of skipping out a little bit, but Okay, so that's going to be the substitution property. You could also write the transitive property here if you wanted, because check this out. Look at this. AE equals EC. We knew that from the definition of congruence after we got the midpoint. But then remember DE, so EC is also equal to DE in step 3, you see right here. Then you can cross out the middle part, EC, and then AE equals DE. So substitution or transitive property. We call it. Both of them is this. You could use either one here. Substitution property. I need to write that property. All right, next one. Definition of congruence. Definition of congruence means that from AE equals DE, we can say that AE is congruent. Segment AE is congruent to segment DE. And then how do we get from AE is congruent to DE is congruent to AE? That is going to be the symmetric property. Symmetric property. And we have finished this one. Not sure what number it is because it's not even a number, but that's the end of this one. It's in the books. We're done.